There she is. Hood's popped because we're going to be opening that up. We'll talk about tire pressure today. And we're going to look at these three tire pressure gauges I've got. This Boulder Tools one came with the tire deflator kit. And I've got my Smittybilt compressor here. I'm going to plug that in and use it. You see how it works. I know there's a lot of other videos out there on this subject, but the reason I'm doing it is I've been running low on tire pressure since my last trip. I lowered the tire pressure when I was in the dirt out there in the desert and climbing the mountains and everything, and haven't put it back in. It's been a comfortable ride in the city, but I could tell it's a little squishy, and you know, you want proper tire inflation so you get better gas mileage, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I was just testing these tire gauge pressure testers. They're all kind of different, so let's get into that. All right, here we go. So we'll start with this one here. This is from my hometown back in Jersey. The gas station's out of business now, and the fellas down there gave me a few of these. I've been handing these out to friends who are from my hometown. My rear, I think I kept a little bit more inflated than the fronts, but we'll just see what this says here. This comes in at about 36, 37 pounds. Double check it. Yep. That's where that one comes in. And we'll leave that out for you. This one I bought when I was on the road on this last trip because I couldn't find this one. This was in the van. I had a hard time locating it till I got back. It's the thing about the van. It's a small van. You got all these little built-in places, and you can just misplace something in a tiny little van like that. It could take you forever. You really got to organize things properly and put them back where they belong. And remember, I keep changing where I put that. Now this one came in at about 39. Double check it again. Yeah, just about 39 pounds of pressure. This one I bought at a yard sale. It's like a trucker's gauge here. I thought this would be my most reliable. This one, let's see what it reads. Okay, so 35.49. This one comes in at about 32 pounds of pressure. This is the one I think is the most reliable. It's got these two circular ones have these little pressure relief valves that you push with your finger to bring it back to zero. Okay, this tells me it's at about 33 pounds. And it feels more like that to me. Yeah. 33 pounds. So we got 33, we've got about 39, we've got about 37, and we got about 32. So I think these two are more accurate. And that's where we're at. We can test the front wheel so you see what that looks like. Again, Southern Gulf, your old school standard. It's what most people pick up when they're at the store. This one comes at about 36 pounds. It's the slime gauge. This one comes in at about 37 pounds. I know these tires are softer in the front than the rears, so this is odd. Okay, this is coming in at about 32 pounds. And this one's coming in at about 32 pounds. I think these are my two most reliable gauges right here. That's what I think. I mean, that's a 5-pound difference. from these cheaper gauges. This will tell you that you have more air in your tires than there actually is. On these tires, you can see the ratings here, okay? Max load, 3,042 pounds. That's at 80 PSI cold. So these tires can take 80 PSI. They're under a 30-inch tire. It's about 29 3/4 of an inch. By the way, when I pull my caps, I always place them right up here on the treads. Makes it easy for me to remember where they are. So now I wouldn't recommend, running 80 PSI in these things unless you got some super crazy heavy load, but that's just so you know. Typically, what I've been running, and when they put the tires on, they put 45 in the front and 50 or 55 on the rear because they were figuring I was running heavier loads. I like the way these tires were running with the lower pressure, just as far as the way it feels on the road with the suspension. The roads are pretty rough in the city, potholes, that sort of thing. A little jarring sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 40 pounds of pressure in these tires, front and rear. About that. Maybe 41. Just to see how that feels. I think that's going to be my happy place with it. You can correct me if you think I'm wrong. So we'll get into that next. And well, we'll talk about this real quick, just because I got the phone out and I'll have to put it on pause again. This is the tire deflator kit. Here, hang on a second. So this is the tire deflator kit. The way this works is you set this thing, you unscrew it. There's a lock to it. There's threads on here. There's holes here. You thread this onto your valve stem, and air comes out of here. And you pretty much guess the first time you get it to a point. You let this release the air. You check your air, and then you can adjust the height of this with the stop collar on here until you get this to read where you want it to read. And I think these are all set for about 20 pounds from when I was on the beach in Jersey. So I'm going to have to play with these again and get them right. Unimportant right now, but that's just so you know how those things work. They're pretty cool. Makes life easy. You put one on, you put the next one. By the time you get back around to the first one, your air is just about where it needs to be. Makes life a little bit easier. Okay, next step is putting some air in the tires. I'm not doing a test to show you how fast the Smittybilt can put air in the tires from flat. There's enough videos out there on that. I'm just going to show you how the thing works. You have to connect this to the battery. And when you do this, you should always... Isn't that perfect? Isn't that perfect for the video? You should always connect this up to your battery. You kind of have to, actually, to make it run. But then the other thing I was going to say is you should always turn the vehicle on when you got this thing running. Connect the... I like to connect the negative first. This here, I just leave these two connected here. Quick release. This does get hot. It's going to get a little loud. There is a pressure gauge on this. This is known to be pretty crappy. There's a valve release back here. It helps to open this up as you are filling the tire. The other thing, and it might seem silly to mention this, but I didn't do it at first. I was pushing this on and holding it, and air was escaping right when I first got it. Obviously, it's dumb. This is threaded. So this threads right onto the valve stem, and you leave that on the whole time you're inflating. Okay, truck's running. to turn this on first. It doesn't really matter. I'll do that. Maybe I won't. Wasn't connected on the negative terminal. This gauge right now is currently reading at 50, which we know is just wrong, right? It's reading at just over 50 right now. The back. Okay, that's reading at 55. Let's just check and see what the actual number is here. Wow, got that on there tight. So with this pressure at 55, we're at 45 on the good gauge. We'll take a little out of that. All right, right now I'm at about 41, which is about where I want to be. Okay, this says 41. That says 41. Well, now that's interesting. That's now reading correct at 41. So this is odd. Maybe it needs to be over 35 psi for it to read correct. I don't know. And this one's reading at about 48. $47 or so. So we know how bad this is. This is not a good gauge. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the tires. Get that done. But now you know, right? So these gauges are all over the place. The Smittybilt compressor is pretty awesome. It's not even really all that loud, and it does take a few minutes to inflate these tires from flat. I've done it. I didn't really feel the need to do that. So I'm going to run 41 in these tires, see how it feels on the highway. Driving down to the beach today, going to park, do dinner and the sunset at the beach. My friend Corinne's still in town till Sunday, then she's going back to Canada where it's snowing and cold. So it's been fun having her here for the visit. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. All the different tire pressure gauges. And yeah, I really do feel like this Boulder gauge is probably the most accurate. It does match this super heavy duty truckers gauge I've got. We know that these things are really inconsistent. And this slime it just wasn't, I feel like you can't count on it. It's better than that. It's better than that one. But as you saw, it was reading 5 pounds over when we had lower pressure, and then it was reading correct at 41. So I don't know what that means. That's kind of bizarre to me, but I don't like inconsistency. This thing will always read correct for me. The gauge on here, as we know, is pretty much garbage. And you just saw from that test that this gauge is reading at least, you know, it seems pretty consistent that it reads 10 pounds over. And remember, continue to relieve the pressure from here as you are inflating the tires. So, little Smittybilt review, little tire pressure gauge knowledge, little thing here on the tire deflators. Astro Van Tribe. Hope you guys dig it, and you know, you need this gear. If you're going to go off-road, you want a compressor, you want a reliable tire pressure gauge. As far as what you run tire pressure when you're off-road, that's up to you. I mean, if you're in the sand, like sugary stuff, you know, depends on what you got going on. With my system, with the 4 low and 4 high, and I'll run it about 20 pounds on that. It just depends on how soft the sand is. That's about as low as I really feel the need to go, ever. And on the dirt roads, as you saw, I was running, what was I running, like 30, 31 in that range. It felt good. It was comfortable over the rocks and whatnot. I just didn't feel the need to get that soft. Your tire pressure is going to depend on how much load you're carrying too. These are not super heavy vehicles, but if you got a camper build in there and you're carrying a bunch of gear, adjust accordingly. Have a good day. Be good to one another, and I'll catch you next time.